Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We turn now to poem 92, My Friend Must Be a Bird. This is another Sue Gilbert poem. Of course, Sue, her closest pal, some have said lover. When this poem was published in actually 1896 after the passing of Emily, the title of this one was Who, capital W, H-O, and then question mark. We're going to ask maybe a little bit about why as we get into this poem. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you have already exposed yourself to our introductory comments and to the previous 91 poems where we've talked already. We just finished with So Bashful When I Spied Her. With so many of the poems that Emily sent to her pal, Sue, who went on to, of course, marry her brother. We are in some ways back to poems 5, 8, and 23 that we've already covered. So I'm hopeful that you've had that background experience. Now, some scholars have commented on the confusions of Emily, and there are a lot of confusions, and certainly one of the confusions is this relationship that she has with Sue. Notice that in 7 lines you've got 5 exclamation points in this poem, and it is a brief one, where she says the following. My friend must be a bird, because it flies. Mortal my friend must be, because it dies. Barbs has it, like a bee. Ah, curious friend, thou puzzlest me. I'm fascinated that she doesn't actually say Sue in this poem. So the assumption is that we're talking about Sue. Obviously it could be somebody else. But notice she says 3 things about her pal. She loves her trinities, as we've said before. Notice, my friend must be a bird. Well, this takes us back to, of course, poem 23. I'll go back and study that one and the whole notion that Sue is a bird. And notice, because it flies, notice it's it, not she. That's fascinating, right? It's as if Emily, again, the riddle player, right? Emily, who is constantly playing around with these riddles, loves to make sure that nobody is 100% certain. In a letter to Sue, letter 586, we've quoted this before, she said it this way, in a life that stopped guessing, you and I should not feel at home. She obviously feels at home with the guessing. So, because it flies. Notice, mortal my friend must be. Now this can be read obviously as, I'm going to lose my friend someday to death. Because it dies, notice some have argued, well, this can't be Sue because obviously we're speaking about somebody who's already passed. Not necessarily. And then the third observation, from being a bird to being something that dies, mortal, to barbs. And of course, this takes us for sure back to poem 8. We won't read it again, but just go back and study it. Barbs has it. And then, of course, like a bee. And the idea of barbs will take us, for example, to poem 156. When we get there, we'll hear it this way. You love me, you are sure. I shall not fear mistake. I shall not cheated wake. Some grinning morn to find the sunrise left and orchids bereft and Dolly gone. Of course, her nickname for Sue. Notice, curious friend. Now, the use of the word curious will take us to 564, and when we hit poem 564, this is the game that we'll play there with her. My period has come for prayer, no other art would do. My tactics missed a rudiment, creator, was it you? God grows above, so those who pray, horizons must ascend. And so I steeped upon the north to see this curious friend. She loves the word curious. But then she uses the word puzzlists, which, by the way, is the only time that word specifically gets used in all of her poetry. In poem 156, she says, you sting again, which takes us back to the idea of the bee. And in poem 446, we're going to play it this way. In poem 446, it'll run like this. She says, I showed her heights she never knew wouldst climb, I said. She said, not so. With me, I said, with me. I showed her secrets, morning's nest, the rope the nights were put across. And now, wouldst have me for a guest? She could not find her yes. And then I break my life. And lo, a light for her did solemn glow, the larger as her face withdrew. And could she further? No. Now, of course, the beauty of reading that poem out loud is that it is spelled N-O, but it could have been spelled K-N-O-W as well. And this use of puzzling, as the puzzlist is the word, tells us that sometimes we're closest to the things that are most puzzling, right? And sometimes those who we are most close to are the most puzzling. At 2B, I love the word choice here, curious and puzzleist to be obviously her way to talk about Sue. I love the fact that we've got 5 exclamation points in a 7-line poem. Obviously, she's letting whoever is the recipient of this poem, possibly Sue, know that she feels powerfully about it. At 3-8, well, all the Sue poems we've obviously already studied in 5 and 8 and 23 and all the other poems, right? And finally, at 3B, who is a friend in your life who you're curious about and who puzzles you still? And is that the sign of a great friendship? I hope so. Thank you.